Hey, what's going on? It's the WWE Raw post show for Monday, August 30th. Tonight on the show, Damian Priest pins Drew McIntyre, Nia Jax upset Charlotte Flair, and Miz seems to have disappeared. Not that that's a bad thing that Miz disappears. You know what I mean?
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, I mean, I don't really mind. I didn't miss Miz tonight, but it was a little bit weird because he was supposed to wrestle John Morrison, and that didn't actually wind up happening. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here. It's the Simon Brothers Pro Wrestling Experience. Don't forget to like this video, enjoy the show, leave a comment, subscribe to the thing, hit us up on Super Chat, become a member. Do all the things. There's a lot of things that you can do, and I appreciate everybody that does the things. Look at Franco316. He's probably liked this video already. He's a member of the team as well. He hit that join button right beneath me, or he went to join.ringsidereport.net, became a member of the YouTube channel, just like Harold Schneider did. Brian Firth went to join over at donate.ringsidereport.net. He's also bought some merch over at merch.ringsidereport.net. Shout out to Brian Firth out in Saskatchewan. People all around the world, all around the country, checking out the Ringside Report Network. And we're here for a little pro wrestling talk. We had a big show last night for the Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley fight. And thank you to everybody joining us for that. You can check it out on the Ringside Report Network channel right here. We're here to talk about Monday Night Raw.
And the War Zone.
The War Zone. Angelo Contagonis. What's up, Angelo? I'm seeing Angelo in the chat as well. What's up, Simon Brothers? Simon Brothers in full effect.
Doing all right. Can I chop you?
Yeah. That didn't make a good sound. I felt it, but it didn't sound good. There you go.
There you go.
That's a good sound. Raw was,
It was there.
it happened.
Yeah. There's some interesting developments.
Certainly happened. There was certainly a Raw show tonight. I think the main event dragged the show down a little bit. I thought the show was pretty decent, but the main event kind of...
Yeah. Multi-segment match, and with the carryover with AJ and Omos and their matches, and then they're on commentary. It just was one long kind of segment. Yeah, I wasn't very interested in that at all.
That whole thing, like the whole end of Raw, the last 40 minutes was kind of like, huh?
Yeah, after the Charlotte Nia match, that was more like a main event feel.
I didn't like it. I didn't like a good chunk of the end of Raw. Omas wrestling John Morrison. Why did that happen? John Morrison does a little promo backstage. He's like, I want to show The Miz that I'm the bigger man, so I've found the biggest man that I can find to wrestle here tonight. And it's like, well, where's The Miz? I thought Miz and Morrison were supposed to wrestle tonight. They had this whole blow-up last week. They announced the match. Tonight, Miz is not in the building. What happened to The Miz?
No explanation either.
No,
not saying like he's shooting a movie, like even like if he is or isn't, in kayfabe, it's a plausible explanation. Nothing.
They didn't explain it. Nothing. They didn't explain why they advertised Miz versus Morrison last week, and then this week they gave us Morrison versus Omas. For no reason in particular, Morrison bumped around the ring a little bit and then hit Omas. Omas hit his choke bomb deal, 1, 2, 3. That was the match. No story told, no advancement to what John Morrison is doing or who he is. No real advancement with Omas either. Omas and AJ Styles are just two guys that are former tag team champions that are still somewhat strong against weak competition on Raw, because as soon as Omas versus Morrison was done, we had AJ Styles wrestling against Xavier Woods for some reason, and Xavier Woods, another guy who's got a tag team partner that's missing. I think Kofi's like banged up. I don't know where Kofi is exactly. It's not clear exactly where Kofi Kingston is as far as the show. No one's told us on Raw like Kofi's not here because no one said anything about Kofi. It's just, oh, well, here's Xavier Woods. What about Kofi? Who? Well, what are you talking about? Who's Kofi Kingston? Like, they're just... Like, they act like Kofi Kingston ever existed, which is kind of weird,
Yeah.
And then Xavier Woods comes out and has a pretty uneventful match against AJ Styles, loses by calf crusher, gets tapped out, and then that was it. And then we go from those two matches that were pretty dead, that were pretty meaningless, that were just bizarre, to Riddle and Randy Orton defending the Raw Tag Team Championship against Bobby Lashley and MVP, Bobby's manager. Bobby's the WWE Champion. Riddle and Randy are the Raw Tag Team Champions. You know that Bobby's not going to become Tag Team Champion with MVP stopping Riddle and Randy's reign that's lasted all of 2 weeks. Like, they're not going to take the belts off of them here, even though the titles are on the line. You know the belts aren't changing hands. It really felt like a house show match. It felt like just a non-televised live event show where it's like, we're going to put our biggest stars in the main event because that's all we have. So we'll have the WWE Champion against the Tag Team Champions, and Randy's there, so we'll do that. And then eventually, of course, MVP takes the fall because MVP never wrestles, right? He's a manager. He barely ever wrestles. When he does, he's just there to lose. Riddle hits his floating bro, 1, 2, 3 on MVP in another uneventful match. The only thing that was different about this match was that Omas and AJ Styles were ringside for commentary, and at one point during the match, Omas just grabs Randy Orton like this. He goozles him.
And like
right?
Randy's like,
yeah, and the referee's looking at them like, oh, no.
don't do that.
Hey, ref, you could disqualify whatever, end the match, call for the bell. That's outside interference. What's going on? The referee's just standing there looking at Omas grab Randy Orton. I had to rewind to see. I was like, well, where's the referee here when Omas is doing this? He's looking at them. He's not. It's not like he's distracted or he's off camera. He's right behind them, looking right at them, going like, huh? I don't know what to do.
And aren't referees allowed, even if it breaks the finish of the match, if they see something or if something happens where like exactly like this, and it's like, well, I don't want to break kayfabe, and like, well, I have to disqualify, and like they could just ring the bell and like they're not in trouble because the ref knows.
They got to protect the ref.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they didn't. The ref didn't protect himself.
Was that Chad Patton?
The ref might wind up getting fined legit by the WWE. That's how stupid WWE is. The WWE might get mad at the ref and be like, well, he should have disqualified them right there, pal. We're going to fine him $2,000 for screwing up. Like, what? You know what I mean? He probably won't get another main event match on Raw for like 6 months or maybe never again because of what happened there. I mean, come on.
He's got to set up the ring by himself next time.
They're not helping. You know, they're not helping their refs. They're not helping their talent. It was just a stupid spot. There's no reason for Omas to do that. He was just there. And then, why did he have to stop Randy? Randy was winning. There's no reason why Omas had to go and even attack Randy at that moment. Randy doesn't need to be taken out of the match to lose. His partner's in the ring about to win.
Yeah, Randy was not the legal man.
Bobby Lashley's the one that needs to be taken out, and Lashley was like kind of taken out by Randy just ramming him into the ring post, shoulder first to the outside, and apparently that was enough to leave Bobby incapacitated long enough for Riddle to have his way there with MVP and get the win. And then, you know, Lashley comes back in the ring, hits Riddle with a spear, and Randy comes in and hits Lashley with an RKO, and everybody goes home happy because it's like a house show match where it's like
nice
obvious
Sunday afternoon,
obvious finish, obvious match, and then an obvious end to the show where the baby faces not only won, but they look extra strong, and Randy Orton hits the RKO. It's a finishing move everybody wants to see. I mean, it was for the live crowd. It wasn't for TV. It was a terrible, terrible way to end, you know, a half-decent television show. Not a good match in any kind of way. Nothing special, nothing interesting. Riddle and Randy beating MVP and Bobby in the main event of Raw.
Yeah. That whole like final was like 4 or 5 segments. Very house show. Those 2 matches, the Almost match and the Woods and AJ match, very house show. You know, an established guy you know is gonna win, going up against another guy you don't see on TV too much. You know is gonna lose. You know, I've seen tons of matches like that. It's very house show. The whole thing. I don't know. They just decided to stop trying.
It's pointless. Unless this leads to Randy Orton versus Bobby Lashley, which I don't think it's leading towards.
It's not out of the realm of possibility that while RK Bros champions, one or both of them might try for a big singles championship. I could see them, and then like there could maybe be a triple threat match, if like there's a rift between Randy and Riddle, even while they're champions.
Like, who does Bobby work at Extreme Rules? It could be Randy. It could easily be Randy.
Yeah, and Riddle's just there, be like, "Go, Randy!"
Yeah. Riddle got taken out by Bobby. He got speared, Riddle's no match for Bobby. It's Randy, the guy who hit the RKO on him. And they even sold it at the end of the show. Randy Orton hits the RKO on the WWE champion. It's like, okay, well, maybe they are building towards something. Maybe they're going to do Randy versus Bobby at Extreme Rules, which is possible, right? Because I don't think Goldberg is going to come back for the next pay-per-view here at the end of September. I think Goldberg is probably going to come back and wrestle Bobby in October in Saudi Arabia. I think that's when the rematch happens, right?
Yeah, well, whatever he mumbled about knee surgery in his little promo.
Yeah, Goldberg had a little promo. He was interviewed outside of his gym or something, wearing the same sunglasses that he wore in 1997 in WCW.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, it was the same shades. It's like he's never got new shades, and he looked bizarre. He looked like a bug man. I don't know. It's just he just looks stupid. And, he says he has ligament damage in his knee and he has impending knee surgery. He's also mad that his son is all beat up. He says his shoulder and neck are all hurt. And Goldberg says he's not coming back to the WWE for the title. He's coming back to take Bobby Lashley's soul. So he's digging souls and taking holes.
I think it's the other way around.
Doesn't matter, brother. It doesn't matter what I used to say. I say different things now. I'm the last outlaw.
Ain't no gray.
I mean, Goldberg's stealing Undertaker's gimmick, taking souls now.
That's right.
Going after Bobby Lashley. But I don't think Goldberg is going to... Goldberg wasn't in the ring tonight. Goldberg wasn't on Raw. I think they're just kind of slow burning the Goldberg return. They're saying Goldberg's hurt. He's like, my knee hurts. I got knee surgery coming. Gage. He had that kind of thing. And I think, they'll just push Goldberg till Saudi Arabia in October because, the Saudis love Goldberg because... For some reason, they're really obsessed with wrestlers from the 90s because they're not familiar with the new stars because who is, Remember the first Saudi Arabia show and they were like, we want Yokozuna. And then they just booked some big guy that kind of looked like Yokozuna for a battle royal.
Name.
And they were like, yeah, he's Yoko Booba. And it's like, no, he's not. It's some guy. What are you talking about?
Never saw him again.
Yeah, they never brought him back, because they were trying. Apparently, the Saudis asked for Yokozuna and Ultimate Warrior, and the WWE had to be like, well, they're dead, I don't know what you want us to do about that. We'll try. So they just made up new guys. They're like, this is Yokozuna.
The greatest Royal Rumble.
Vince is trying to just trick the Saudis. This is Yokozuna, pal.
Quick question: who won that greatest Royal Rumble? Here's a hint. He's not with the company anymore.
Wasn't it Corporate Kane? Maybe. Who was it?
Pretty sure it was Braun Strowman.
Was it Braun Strowman?
Pretty sure it was Braun Strowman.
Such a forgettable event. So Goldberg, I think, is going to be wrestling Bobby there. So Randy could easily wrestle Bobby at Extreme Rules. What else does Bobby do?
Randy's is probably the most logical choice given the result on Raw tonight. And there aren't that many big baby faces right now.
No.
Need to turn AJ babyface somehow.
We were talking about this last week, I think. What do you do with Bobby Lashley? Because you can't do Drew McIntyre again.
Definitely not now.
Damian Priest is the new U.S. champion, so why? Sheamus is a heel. We thought Sheamus would be the one. Maybe turn Sheamus babyface because Sheamus is a legitimate threat. But they might not go in that direction. They might not turn Sheamus babyface. They might just stick with You know, they might go with Randy here. They might go with Randy. I feel like after tonight, seeing Randy RKO Bobby at the end of the show.
The old familiar.
Yeah.
You know,
But
Randy's safe.
Randy's a threat, though, too, to Bobby because he's Randy. You know what I mean? Randy could win the WWE Championship at any point. He's Randy.
He's a 14-time champion.
But he won't win. You know, Bobby will beat him.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, no, because we're setting up Goldberg. Like, we're not done with the Goldberg thing.
Randy Goldberg. I'm sure if Johnny North were here, he'd be like, well, Randy could wrestle Goldberg. You know, I'd like to see that.
Yeah. John would love that. Johnny North, my buddy Johnny, would absolutely love Goldberg versus Randy. That's his dream match.
Yeah. Two of the greatest wrestlers of their generations.
Yeah, I think that's his dream match. I don't know how many other people's dream match that is, but for sure Johnny would love that shit. For sure. I would hate to see it. I think Goldberg and Bobby probably do battle again because Bobby attacked his son. Like it's gonna be a rematch thing. But he did say it's not gonna be. He's not coming for the WWE title. Like he doesn't care about the belt. He wants to take Lashley's soul. So Lashley doesn't have to be champion when Goldberg. And I know Johnny North would love to see Randy Orton as WWE champion and tag team champion simultaneously. And it wouldn't be a bad way to get the WWE title to Riddle at some point.
It's true. Elevate Riddle somehow.
But I don't see it happening. I think Bobby stays champion. And because Vince loves, like, when the big stars come back, like Goldberg or somebody like that, he wants them to wrestle for the belt. You know, he wants them to kind of elevate the championship, and it just looks better on the poster, right, with the belt there, too.
And
so it'll be for the belt.
And so it makes people go, I got to see that.
Yeah.
Goldberg?
Randy's doing his tag team thing right now with Riddle. He could do a little side program with Bobby for one pay-per-view, lose to Bobby, continue building Bobby's credibility by having a win over Randy under his belt. I think that makes sense, actually.
Book it.
I think we might. How about another one that we might book? Nia Jax versus Charlotte Flair at Extreme Rules for the Raw Women's Championship.
That definitely seems likely now. Maybe an Extreme Rules match.
So a few people were missing in action tonight, which kind of makes you wonder, like, is there a COVID outbreak? What's going on with the WWE talent? Because Miz was not there when he should have been with John Morrison. They advertised the match. This was their tag team breaking up after a long time coming. They finally break up. This was their match tonight. They were supposed to have it, and Miz just isn't on the show, and there's no explanation. So that's super mysterious. A lot of mysterious absences these days in WWE, right?
That
like,
they treat like no big deal.
They treat like they don't even exist, and it doesn't matter. Like, where's Sasha Banks? Where's Keith Lee? Where's Kofi Kingston? Where are all these people?
And the more they're kind of like, oh, don't worry about that, it makes you wonder.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
well, it does make them bigger for when they come back, but, like, Keith Lee was kind of... Remember, Keith Lee was gone for a long time, and then he revealed that he had some heart issues that he was dealing with, some serious medical deal where he was kept out of the ring and not cleared by WWE. And then he came back, and he was wrestling 2-3 weeks in a row, and it's now been 2-3 weeks since we haven't seen him.
And they don't mention him.
They haven't said a word.
The only mention of Keith Lee tonight was in Karrion Kross's entrance graphic. They said he beat Keith Lee.
It's weird. Sasha Banks had this whole feud with Bianca Belair. The week before the feud, she's pulled from, a house show. They continue to advertise the match for SummerSlam up until Bianca's in the ring for the match. Then they change it up, and Becky Lynch is there. And then on SmackDown last week, it's just like, forget about it. No one mentioned Sasha Banks. Sasha who? It's all about Becky and like Carmella and Zelina. And here's the return of Liv Morgan, who's also kind of disappeared for a while. It's weird how they do this with people. They kind of disappear certain people. Miz is very mysterious because he was supposed to wrestle John Morrison tonight. That's a weird one. The other weird one is Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
So Alexa Bliss not being here is super strange because last week she went out and kind of waved at Charlotte Flair and was like, Lily wants to say hi, and there was a confrontation. And Charlotte looked scared, and it seemed like, okay, Nikki, A.S.H, and Ria Ripley are now going to be a tag team. and Charlotte is going to wrestle Alexa Bliss at Extreme Rules. That's what it looked like last week. This week, Alexa's not on the show, and Nia Jax is pushed to the moon.
To the moon.
So it was Rhea Ripley versus Shayna. Rhea winds up beating Shayna in a decent match with a reversal of into a small package. And then Nia Jax comes in. First, during the match, she hit a nasty Samoan drop on Nikki ASH to the outside. Like,
really?
It was a nice, snug Samoan drop, and I liked it. And then she comes into the ring after the match and just clotheslines the shit out of Rhea Ripley.
And Rhea's head bounced off the rope. That looked nasty.
It was great. I loved it.
Really hurt her.
I love seeing it. I don't care. It was violent. It was good. It was rough. I like Nia's roughness. Nia was rough tonight, and that's the Nia I like to see. Rough Nia. Big, mean, nasty Nia. She was nasty tonight. So she was mean to Shayna. There was a pre-match promo. Nia was doing a bunch of promos. Rhea Ripley cut a pre-match promo, and then Nia cut a promo kind of like talking down about Shayna, saying like, what's Shayna going to do? But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to beat Nikki up. I'm going to beat Charlotte up later. I'm beating everybody up tonight. And I was like, okay. And then she actually did it. She beat Rhea up after the match. She beat up Nikki during the match. And then she had a match with Charlotte that she won after her like choke slam bomb deal. The match was pretty good. The match was decent. And Nia just beat the Raw Women's Champion in a non-title match, clean, middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3.
Who's been booked so strong that nobody could see this coming.
It was shocking. It was a huge upset.
I still can't believe it.
Well, something happened to Alexa Bliss.
Must have.
Something's going on with
and
Alexa
they need to
Bliss.
build an opponent fast.
Yeah, they needed to go in a different direction right away. And they looked at their roster and realized, well, we're doing something else here with Rhea and Nikki, and there's really nobody else on Raw right now.
Strange Nikki doesn't want a rematch.
Whatever happened to Dana Brooke?
And
Mandy went to NXT, I think. I don't know where Dana Brooke went. She's still under contract. But they really, I mean, they couldn't go to Dana Brooke here.
No.
Nia is a better option. Shayna would have been an interesting option, but they go with Nia, and it's not a bad option. The match tonight with Charlotte was good. I think Nia's underrated. Doug Hepburn saying Nia's hair reminded him of Andre's afro. I said the same thing. It's very Andre the Giant hair. It's cool. She looks good, and I think she's a lot better now than when she started. She's improved a lot. She doesn't get a lot of respect because of some mistakes that she's made in the past, hurting people and different things. But I like her style. She's big, tough, Samoan. She's bigger than everybody else in the division. She's imposing. She's got some power. She's rough. And so what? She's a little sloppy. Sometimes, a little sloppiness is fun. Makes things more interesting. Becky Lynch doesn't get punched in the face by Nia Jax and have her face explode. I don't know how big Becky Lynch really becomes. Not saying that it was a good thing that Nia did that. I'm just saying that Nia Jax is more fun to watch than a lot of the people that you see on Raw. She's fun. Her match with Charlotte was fun. And she's a much better wrestler than she used to be. She really is. I like Nia. I'm becoming a Nia fan. I became a Nia fan when she had that match with Ronda Rousey on that pay-per-view. That was fantastic.
I think that might have been an Extreme Rule. Or it was Money in the Bank, maybe?
Something.
Yeah.
It was such a good match. It was maybe Ronda's best match in WWE.
I think Ronda said as much.
It was really good. Yeah, Ronda paid a lot of respect to Nia. That was a kick-ass match because Nia is big and strong, and she can take it. That's the thing. Of course Nia hurts people. She's in there with some small people. They can't really take it. They can't really go. Nia can go. You're going to rough people up. They're half her size, a lot of them. Charlotte Flair can go with Nia Jax, though. She can go. Charlotte is tough. She's big. She's strong. That's a good matchup. But, Charlotte outpowers and outstrengths a lot of her opponents. She can't do that with Nia Jax. It's a different style matchup as far as what she can do in the ring and how she has to work. And tonight, Charlotte loses. The Queen on her back. 1, 2, 3. Very surprising. But it seems like WWE's now going towards Nia Jax versus Charlotte Flair. I think probably at the pay-per-view for the belt.
Yeah, that seems likely. I like to see them in an Extreme Rules match. See what they can do. Some table spots.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to add a stipulation to this match because you already seen it kind of normal tonight, right? So you got to kind of add something to it. They've got 3 weeks to build this thing, by the way. 3 episodes of Raw left before Extreme Rules on the 26th of September.
Now, do you see Shayna and Nia imploding and somehow maybe Shayna defeats Nia in singles action and makes this a triple threat somehow, or, like in a rock, paper, scissors way?
No. Not the way Shayna was booked tonight.
No.
She lost clean to Ria Ripley and really didn't show that much.
It's interesting. Well,
I think they're kind of over Shayna right now. I don't think they're doing much with Shayna. I don't think they ever really believed in Shayna.
Yeah, that was always the rumor that Vince was like...
She's never held a singles title on the main roster.
Yeah.
She's tag team champion. Has she held a singles title?
Not on the main
They
roster.
haven't made Shayna champion. They've made everybody champion. They haven't made Shayna champion. Tells you a lot. Where's Asuka?
There was a sign tonight I saw in the crowd that said, "Where's Asuka?"
Where's Asuka? Asuka's like the best one they got. I don't know. She's still under contract with WWE. There was a rumor that she wasn't, that she was negotiating, and she was like, no, none of that is true. She's just there, and they're not using her for one reason or another.
That doesn't bode well. She's expensive, and if she's just sitting backstage, imagine.
Well,
Asuka
that would be a
gets
bad
fired.
move. That'd be a bad move for them. That'd be a really bad move.
The blowback.
Not to the blowback, just what she could do in like
I know,
AEW.
but just like,
jeez.
But just like of all the Asuka.
Yeah, you can't fire Asuka.
Like to say firing Asuka is a dollars and cents move, that's ridiculous. Asuka's one of the best investments you can make in a wrestler.
Yeah, but they've let a lot of people go recently. You never know.
Yeah, but
you
Asuka
never know. I don't think they would, but who knows?
Value.
Who knows?
But if she's just sitting backstage at catering, that's incredible.
I mean, I'd be less concerned about Asuka than I would be about Dana Brooke.
Yeah, but
Dana Brooke is like...
Yeah, but she doesn't bring that much.
On the bubble. Yeah, no, not as much as Asuka.
Like Dana Brooke getting fired is kind of like, yeah, well,
It wouldn't hurt.
It just makes sense, but it's just like one of those names you see on the spring cleaning list, back in the day, like, oh yeah, Dana Brooke, yeah, like a lower, gotta make room. Asuka, it's like if they fired like Lita in like 2002 or something.
Yeah, I think people will be mad. I'd be mad, but I'd also be like, well, she's gonna go to AEW. That division's gonna be way better because of it.
Yeah.
But Nia gets elevated tonight in a major way. She has a decent match with Charlotte. I think they can do even better at the pay-per-view. And I think that'll be your Extreme Rules match. Whatever happened to Alexa Bliss, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Hopefully she's okay.
Yeah. Thoughts and prayers.
Same with
Alexa
Miz,
Bliss. Same with Miz.
Whatever it is, if it's health, if it's personal, whatever it is.
We hope Miz is okay.
She's okay.
We hope Alexa's okay.
Love Maurice.
We hope Sasha Banks is okay. I'm kind of getting concerned about Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
Where is she? Keith Lee I'm concerned about too, because like he had a heart issue and he was like, I was told I was probably never going to wrestle again. Then I was able to come back and get cleared. Then he wrestles for like 3 weeks. Then he disappears again. It's like, maybe, it's not going to work out for him. It could be his whole career. He could be done. Keith Lee, honestly, about everybody, like Miz, he's probably fine. Who knows? A lot of people that aren't there, I think they'll probably be all right. But because Keith Lee has had these heart issues that were really serious and kept him out of action for so long, he comes back and then he's gone very quickly. It makes you wonder, like, okay, maybe
he needs to go back to a doctor.
Maybe he's just never going to wrestle again. Maybe that's it. So that's scary.
Yeah. So, he's not that young, Keith Lee.
No, and he's a very big man,
Very large man.
You got to be careful. You got to be careful with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And WWE doesn't want the liability of putting a guy like that in the ring if something terrible could happen. People, it's going to look bad on them, and they're all about PR. So, yeah. So I'm hoping Keith Lee's all right. Alexa Bliss is weird that she wasn't there tonight too.
It's definitely unexpected.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Yeah.
I was not expecting Alexa to just kind of disappear tonight. They've already lost Sasha for some sort of disappearance. Now Alexa has disappeared. It's weird. Kofi's disappeared. Xavier Woods is just on Raw doing jobs now. What happened to the New Day? You know?
Yeah.
What happened?
And like it's sad because like Woods has this gear of like Scott Hall gear, you know? And
Yeah,
you
it's
think,
cool.
And you think of Scott Hall as being a part of a group.
Yeah.
And he's like by himself. It's not Lone Wolf Scott Hall.
I just want Kofi to come out in some like Kevin Nash gear. Like you know, the like shiny suspenders, straps.
Was it like kind of like frilly? Like
yeah. Frills on the pants.
And like Kofi spray painted.
That would be
like
sick.
Nash.
Kofi would look amazing in like Kevin Nash gear.
And like Big E, well, I don't know if he'd want a Hogan kind of style mustache.
No, I don't think they need to do that.
I don't think he wants anything to do with Hogan.
Just pay homage to Hall and Nash, and Big E can do his own thing.
Scott Norton. He could do a Scott Norton haircut.
You think Big E? Who does Big E cash in on?
Like, presuming like it's the champions as we see them now, like Bobby or Roman? Or do you think it could be someone in the future? Or, I mean, he has until the next Money in the Bank and kayfabe to do it.
But is it Roman? Will it be Bobby? Will it be someone else? You know, I
don't
wonder.
think it'll be Roman. I don't see Roman losing
in
a
either.
Money in the Bank cash in. That just seems too cheap.
Well, yeah, but they want to keep Roman strong, you know, and the only way to take the belt off of him and to keep him strong would be in a Money in the Bank type situation.
Then he has to win it right back.
Not necessarily.
But they have to come up with all these like
draft him away, maybe.
That's one way. But then like Big E's reign gets off to like a bit of like a did you earn it, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not great when you win off Money in the Bank. Just ask Nikki Ash.
Yeah.
That didn't last.
Not at all.
Beat Charlotte, and then it's like, yeah, well, you beat me in Money in the Bank, whatever. Beat her on Raw. It's like, yeah, well, whatever. A pay-per-view, loses. And then she's in a tag team with Ria Ripley.
Doesn't
for some
even
reason.
ask for a rematch.
No rematch.
Nothing.
She just wants to team up with Ria Ripley, who's been questioning her abilities the whole feud. Yeah. Now they're friends for some reason. To feud with
Shia, Nia and Shayna are busy.
Yeah.
So.
And where's Natty and Tamina? How come Natty and Tamina don't wrestle on Raw? They're the women's tag team champions. I still don't understand this. They're the women's tag team champions. All the women's tag team champions before them were going on both brands. Natty and Tamina win the belts. It's like, nah, just SmackDown.
I don't know.
And even then, not every SmackDown. They're like barely around.
What's up with that?
I don't know. They're just the way they book things, the way it's so inconsistent. And also the disappearing acts of a lot of people without any explanation. That's a weird one. But, I mean, in this COVID world, everything feels like a medical thing that you can't really ask too many questions about because it could be COVID. And with some of the women, it could be COVID. It could be pregnancy. Like, that's what everybody thinks of right away, right? When you see, like, Sasha Banks has disappeared or Alexa Blanks has disappeared or whatever their names are, it's like, well, maybe they're pregnant so they can't wrestle, or maybe they have COVID so they can't wrestle. Like, that's at this point in the game, that's what everybody's kind of assuming, but who knows? It could be a number of things. It's just, it's a weird world, man, and it's weird that the WWE... Like, it seems to me, at a certain point in wrestling, if somebody was going to disappear for one reason or another, they would find, like, a wrestling explanation, like a story explanation as to why they're not there anymore, and then they would come up with a good way to, like, bring them back when they do come back for, like, they wouldn't just be like, oh, forget that person ever existed.
And then when they come back, oh, my God.
Oh, I can't believe they're here. Well, it's like, where have they been?
But they're back now.
Zelina Vega gets fired. She's gone for 7 months. She comes back. It's like, where have you been? The other wrestlers are like, whoa, while you were on vacation, Zelina. And it's like, what? She was fired. What are you talking about?
Unemployed.
It's just weird the way they do this. Like, why can't you just come up with a reason why these people aren't on TV? Like Miz and Morrison. You couldn't come up with a reason why Miz wasn't on TV tonight? Miz was going to wrestle John Morrison tonight, but he's shooting a movie instead. He's in Hollywood shopping projects, and he decided not to show up because Morrison isn't worth his time, and he's shopping projects in Hollywood, and he's got a script that he's trying to sell or whatever, and that's what Miz is doing. He doesn't have to show up, whatever. So maybe he has COVID and whatever, but you have explained his absence, and then when he comes back, he's like, yeah, I was shopping scripts, and you're not important. We know where you were. We know why you're back now. You know, maybe there's another reason that we don't get to know, the behind-the-scenes reason, and, you know, people will report on that, but at least give us something on TV. Don't book it where it's like John Morrison and The Miz are going to wrestle, and then John Morrison's on Raw, and he's like, well, I hate The Miz, and I'm going to wrestle Omas to show Miz that I'm a big man. And it's like, okay, but weren't we supposed to see you wrestle Miz? No. What are you talking about, you stupid? You forget? I was always supposed to wrestle Omas. Where's Miz? The guy you're mad at. Where is he? Who cares? Shut up. You know, it's like...
you're stupid for asking.
Stop asking.
And you're ugly.
Yeah, it's like you're insulting the viewer. Again, it's what they do. They insult the viewer.
And then it makes us speculate, well, is Miz sick? Is Miz in trouble?
Is Miz dead? Is Miz in jail?
Yeah.
Guess who's going to jail tonight? It's Miz.
Miz behind bars.
Goddamn, I love that. I don't know why you're not listening to Donda right now. Ridiculous.
I'll get around to it.
Get around to it, goddamn it.
Get around to it.
Get around to it.
I like Kanye.
Whew. I love Kanye. I'm a Church of Kanye disciple. I love that man. Tremendous. They need some Kanye on Raw.
Oh, God, imagine.
Imagine Kanye on Raw. It would be so crazy. Raw would turn into this, like, immersive experience. It wouldn't even be wrestling anymore. It'd be something else.
Wrestle on the floating stage.
Oh, my. Oh, floating stage match. That would be dope.
As it travels over the audience.
If you ever saw
how you do that,
the St. Pablo tour, Kanye performed on like this floating stage that floated over the
like
audience.
UFO.
It was amazing. If you could have a match on that thing, oh shit, that's like next level scaffold match.
Yeah,
you're floating over the audience and having a match. He was harnessed up. They just harnessed them.
Yeah, put Reginald up there.
They harnessed them and they harnessed them together with like a chain.
Reggie and R-Truth on a floating stage match. Go for it.
Yes.
I think they could pull it off.
I think Reggie and R-Truth should just be on a floating stage for all of WWE shows. Just like they float around the arena during the show. So if something's boring, you just see what Reggie's doing. It's just, most of the time, it's just Reggie and R-Truth just kind of sitting around.
Yeah. Checking their phones.
Yeah. But once in a while, they'll be like, hey, we're on. And then like Reggie flips and stuff. Yeah. He's on like wires.
Yeah,
I think that'd be good.
Yeah, Cirque du Soleil stuff.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah, that floating stage was incredible.
Oh. Kanye on Raw. We can only dream. Instead, we get Veer Venus. Veer Venus teaming up with Jinder Mahal tonight.
Veer Venus looking good.
Yeah, that like
innovative offense.
Yeah, he did like a Fez press type of maneuver.
Got some big air.
It was pretty nice. Veer Venus is good. Viking Raiders beat Jinder Mahal and Veer Venus. They hit their finisher, and that was it. Pretty uneventful.
Jinder
and that's
took the
Raw.
fall, didn't he?
Raw was like really kind of Match of the night was a triple threat, I think. The triple threat match was pretty good. I like that one.
Priest, Sheamus, and Drew?
Yeah.
That was a pretty good match. Pretty hard-hitting.
I mean, if that's not match of the night, what is?
I mean, Charlotte and Nia was decent, but probably the triple threat. And Drew losing is pretty interesting, too.
Yeah. That's why, it was even more interesting because Damian Priest actually pinned Drew McIntyre. He hit his, like, crossroads type finisher. They have a name for it. Doesn't matter. And then he pins Drew McIntyre, beats Drew and Sheamus in a triple threat match to retain his U.S. title. I thought that was a solid match.
It's a big move.
And it was a really big win for Damian Priest because you would think, okay, well, he beat Sheamus already for the U.S. title, so Sheamus is going to take the fall here. But Drew took the fall, a guy who was WWE champion for the good part of a year. And, is one of their kind of main event guys. He's been pushed to a pretty high level. For Damian Priest to get the U.S. Championship, and now a couple weeks later, past SummerSlam, he gets the win here over Drew and Sheamus in the same match. It shows you that they have some faith in Damian Priest. I think that was pretty good. Damian Priest looked really good. He did that like weird dive where he had one foot on the rope on the outside. He kind of had his legs over the rope, and he did like a flip onto Sheamus. That was a really cool maneuver. He's a good wrestler, Damian Priest.
Yeah, he's got some interesting offense.
And he's big. Like, he's really big. He wrestles. The way he wrestles, you wouldn't think he's as big as he is. You know what I mean? Like, he wrestles kind of like a indie cruiserweight type of style, but he's like the same height as Drew and Sheamus. He's just as big as those guys, and those guys are huge. I was impressed that Damian Priest was able to stand there in the ring with those guys and not look undersized. And he can do some pretty crazy flips and maneuvers. Like, the guy is very talented and very big. His promos need work, but there's something there for sure, and WWE's into him. I liked him. I've been a fan of this guy. I remember seeing him as Martinez, their Punishment Martinez, very talented wrestler. He's been a talented wrestler for a long time. That was his name right before? Punishment?
Something like that.
I like that name, too. That's a good name.
Do you think, though, that, like, they could have booked Drew and Damian in a one-on-one match with Damian going over, like, in the future, and that they maybe took away from that possibility now that they've had Damian beat Drew? Or do you think that wouldn't have been a possibility, and it's a good idea to have Damian get a run now?
They're both baby faces.
Yeah, Drew's not going to turn heel anytime soon.
Why? For the U.S. title, is it really worth it?
Yeah. It's a good point.
I think maybe you do AJ and Damian Priest at the pay-per-view. Like, if you're going to do Randy versus Bobby for the WWE title, why not do AJ Styles versus Damian Priest for the U.S. title? Or you do a rematch with Sheamus. Or you do a rematch of what we saw tonight with some sort of stipulations.
Yeah.
Some sort of...
Add AJ to make it a fatal four-way.
That would be fun, you know?
And Omas, on the outside, too. Could be interesting.
Omas versus Morrison was weird tonight. Like, why?
Just to give Omas more experience.
It's just a practice match for Omas?
Yeah, pretty much. They're like, well, we don't have Miz. So, they've kind of, like, let's just put Omas out there. Because, like, Omas and Morrison really haven't interacted much.
No.
So, it's just to, give Omas more experience. Have him, Morrison's a good bumper. And just, that was it.
It was weird.
Yeah.
That was a weird one.
And then they're like, well, Xavier's here, and,
let's just do this.
Yeah.
It did feel like they're like, okay, we have these people. We're going to use them in what, like the Xavier Woods AJ Styles match was like, why is this happening? And the Omas Morrison match is like, okay, I guess Miz is in here. This is going to be the John Morrison match because they had nothing else. They have a limited number of people that they can use. They don't want to use Ricochet, I guess, and everybody else they don't use. If they no Lucha Brothers, no Ricochet, or Lucha House Party, no Ricochet. Those guys are on main event, I guess, and then this is all they have left for Raw.
If I may make an analogy that
the
audience might understand. In the world of Pokemon, you want to train your Pokemon. You want to give them experience. You want to put them in battles so they get better and better. Right now, Omas is like a Pokemon that is known as a Metapod. He doesn't do very much, but if you use him, you give him a little more experience, he might evolve and become a better Pokemon who can do more moves. So by putting Omas out there tonight, they're... Go on. So what you want to do when you want to train, like say you want to train your Metapod, you start him out there, you give him some experience, and then like eventually he gets more and more.
He's ranking up.
Yeah. And so by calling this audible, they're like, well, let's put Omas out there, give him a few more experience, and then maybe he'll evolve into a Butterfree.
And we can only hope to all evolve into Butterfrees. That's what I always say. I always say that. I don't know what that means, but I agree with you 110%. I'm behind you.
Thank you.
And I respect your analogy.
It was derailing a bit in the middle, but thank you for having faith in me.
I don't understand it, but I love it and respect it. Damian Priest cut an in-ring promo, too, about defending the title, being a defending U.S. champion, and he issued an open challenge to start off Raw, and then Sheamus showed up, and he wanted the match, And then Drew McIntyre showed up, and he also wanted the match. And then Bobby Lashley and MVP showed up, and they're like, yeah, Bobby wants to wrestle for the U.S. title too. And then Randy Orton and Matt Riddle showed up, and they started talking about Bobby Lashley for some reason. And then Bobby wants to take their tag team titles, which set up the tag team title match. Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce showed up. They announced the triple threat match for the U.S. title. And then MVP versus Bobby and RK Bro. Barbie and RK Bro.
Barbie Lashley.
Yeah, for the main event. And that was like the opening promo, and it wasn't very good. And that's, again, it's important how you start the show. It's important how you finish the show. There was some decent stuff in the middle, but the beginning and the end were not very good. Didn't hook you in, and then didn't leave you with a nice feeling at the end of the show. Damian Priest promo was mediocre. It was just kind of a number of guys showing up. Here's Damian Priest, and now here's Sheamus, and now here's Drew and Bobby and MVP. And let's just establish that these are the stars of the show. Oh, and Matt Riddle and RK and Randy. These are the stars of the show. And here comes Sonya and Adam Pearce. These are the authority figures. And here are 2 matches that you're going to see. One will be coming up soon, and the other will be your main event. And welcome to Raw, everybody. It was like very, okay, we're setting up the show. These are the people that we have. This is what we got.
Here's your cast.
Yeah.
Starring Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Matt Riddle.
And then the end, not particularly interesting with that tag team match, Riddle and Randy versus MVP and Bobby. And we had a bunch of stuff in the middle. We had Karrion Kross beating Humberto Carrillo with like a rear naked choke submission.
That was nothing.
It was nothing really special. This Karrion Kross gimmick with the mask and the thing, the suspenders, the weak-ass demolition thing he's doing, it's not working. He's not over. The crowd doesn't react to him at all. They're not sure if he's a babyface or a heel. I think he's a heel, but he's not getting any heat. Nobody's booing this guy. No one cares. No one cares. Eva Marie was supposed to wrestle Doudrop tonight. It didn't happen. Doudrop winds up just beating up Eva Marie, counting 3. The referee's like, no match. He said Eva can't wrestle, so there's not going to be a match. And then Doudrop announced herself as the winner. How come the ref didn't wait and just like make Eva Marie wrestle? I've seen people beat up so many times in WWE and then have to wrestle the match. Why didn't Eva have to wrestle this match?
Probably because the ref said, "Can you go?" And she was like, "No." That's probably it, Usually wrestlers like, "No, I can do it." And the ref's like, I don't know. And it generates sympathy. So Eva was like, "No, I can't wrestle. My back or shoulder."
Remember last week when I said, hey, they did this weird thing on Raw where they announced 3 matches for next week, kind of AEW style? They had like a mini segment where they announced 3 matches for next week. The 3 matches they announced for tonight that were supposed to happen, none of them happened.
That is true.
None of them happened. Eva Marie versus Doudrop didn't wind up happening, but that was the closest match that they had announced to actually happening. Like, it was the closest to happening of any of the 3 matches they announced. At least Eva Marie and Doudrop were in a ring together. Bobby Lashley was supposed to wrestle Sheamus tonight. That was announced last week on Raw. I'm just looking at my notes right now from last week's Raw, and I'm seeing the 3 matches that they announced for this week didn't even happen. You thought that they could plan a week in advance? Think again. They announced Bobby Lashley versus Sheamus last week on Raw, which I totally forgot about, but they announced it. That's what they said last week on Raw. Next week, Lashley versus Sheamus. Didn't happen, didn't come close to happening. Sheamus wrestled in the triple threat. Lashley wound up wrestling in the tag team match. Why?
They had to call audibles. They had to fill different spots. They had to use different guys.
And Miz and Morrison were announced to wrestle tonight, and they did not. They broke up last week. The match was made official last week. It did not happen tonight. Miz was not on the show. Like, they can't even plan a week in advance. No. I understand medical things happen and things change and whatever, but, like...
Can do better than that.
You advertise 3 matches and none of them can actually happen? You can't make any of them happen? You could have made Eva and Doudrop happen at least. I mean, when you announce 3 matches, okay, Miz and Morrison, Miz can't be on the show tonight. Okay, fine. Fine, I'll accept that. Bobby Lashley versus Sheamus, you can't have the match. That's hard to accept. Honestly, that's hard to accept because they were both there tonight and they were both wrestling. Why the fuck didn't they wrestle tonight? Why didn't they work each other? It's ridiculous.
Like they just
Why?
It's like
they set it up.
Vince decided, you know what? We're not going to push Sheamus for the belt. We're going to push Randy. And then there's like, well, how do we get there? Okay, well, let's change this, change that, put Randy here, and then there we go. They might have done that, you know. Vince is known for changing things at the last minute.
They just decided we'll go with Randy because it's not working. We don't like it.
Yeah, RK Bros moving a lot of merch. And, you know, it's because of Randy, not because of Riddle.
They set it up last week. It was Drew and Damian versus Sheamus and Bobby. Bobby bailed on the match, remember? And then Sheamus wound up losing because he was left alone by Bobby. And then Sheamus cut this passionate backstage promo to Bobby Lashley, and it set up the match tonight, and it didn't even happen. They totally forgot about it. They acted like none of that even happened.
Do you think they, like, you know, look at some, like, production notes and are like, oh, shit, that's right. We were supposed to do that.
No, I think that they look at it. They're like, fuck it. We're doing something else. Vince is like, whatever. We're going to do something else. I don't care.
Yeah. And everyone's like, okay, boss.
Yeah.
Anything could happen in WWE.
Like, Bobby should have wrestled Sheamus tonight. That was a misstep. And Doudrop, I mean, should have wrestled Eva Marie in a match because they announced it last week and they delivered. I mean, if you're going to announce 3 matches and 2 of the 3 matches you're scratching, the one match that you announced, you should actually follow through with and not have like a pre-match beatdown and then no actual match. You got to follow through with something you're doing. You can't just keep baiting and switching your audience and expect them to keep coming back and to trust you. To trust you and to like you and to appreciate you. This is why everybody shits on WWE, because you have trained the audience to dislike you.
And the thing is probably is
crazy.
Like they were calling so many audibles and changing so many things that Eva Marie Doudrop match was probably like didn't get changed. That was probably how it was supposed to go down. I don't think they were planning on Eva having that match because like Eva in her first run used to do that too, like fake an injury or some reason she can't compete because she sucks. It's weird that they even broke them up because like Eva is nothing now.
Yeah,
Eva is like a waste of space that like because she needs a bodyguard.
Yeah, she needed Doudrop to make sense. Yeah. I don't see why Eva Marie is around right now without Doudrop. A backup for Eva Marie made a lot of sense. Eva on her own is not an imposing heel. How does Eva fit in among the heel roster on Raw where you have Shayna and you have Nia and you have Charlotte who's basically a heel? Like Nia and Charlotte, which is weird, they're both heels.
Yeah. I
guess they're trying to turn Charlotte back. I think Charlotte's like a tweener. Charlotte's like, she is who she is. Some people are going to cheer her. Some people are going to boo her. It is what it is. But Eva Marie does not measure up to any of these. She's like a B-level Carmella. Which is...
Carmella's way better than her.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But Carmella is, you know...
Yeah.
She's B-level she has Carmella.
Ceiling, but like, you know...
Carmella...
She can do some moves.
I mean... Carmella's gimmick is that she's the most beautiful woman in the WWE. That's what they always announce her as. Eva Marie is...
the same thing.
Pretty similar. Except she's on Raw, right? She's the Raw version. It's just... it's weak. It's a lot of weakness, and I cannot believe that they announced 3 matches last week, and none of them even happened. Sheamus versus Bobby, they set up. They had a whole angle going, and then tonight they're just like, nah, we're forget about it.
Let's put Randy in there.
But at least we saw Reginald in a park running away from R-Truth and Tozawa dressed up in a dog costume.
Must have been hot for Tozawa.
In Oklahoma City, yeah. In that costume, probably sweating his balls off.
Yeah. That's raw.
At least they didn't have to go into the arena. I mean, they probably did. They just sat in catering. I had to watch the show. Hope they got to leave early and didn't see that terrible main event. And tonight... they announced nothing for Raw tonight. I think they learned They announced nothing for Raw next week, right? They learned their lesson.
Yeah.
Last week, they announced 3 matches. Tonight, none of them happened. So they're like, we're not going to announce anything for next week because, we fucking have no idea.
Yeah. We have no continuity whatsoever.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. We know what we're doing next week. We won't be here. I won't be here next week. I'm going on vacation, and I'll be gone next week, and I think I'll be gone even the week after. So we'll be back for another Raw Recap show on the 20th of September on the go-home week for WWE Extreme Rules. So when things start to pick back up in WWE, I'll be back. I will be back before then. Probably the next show... Well, I'll tell you about the next SmackDown show and stuff, but as far as the Raw show, the Ringside Report Network's going to go on a little bit of a break next week. There may be a show here or there popping up, so stay tuned. But I am going on vacation next week, and we will not be back until the 20th, so off for a couple of weeks from the Raw show. Couple of weeks, and then back on Monday, September 20th, for the next Raw Recap show here on the Ringside Report Network. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and do all the things. Become a member. Do all the things. Thank you to the members, Angelo Contagones, Franco316, Doug Hepburn. I see you.
Super chat. Super chat.
Oh, there you go. I was wondering, where's the super chats tonight? I hadn't heard that sound yet. I didn't hear my man Angelo. I thought that, it's not Angelo. It's Doug Hepburn. Thank you, Doug. Doug Hepburn says, thanks, boys. Very entertaining.
Uh-oh.
There's Angelo. Dropping a super chat as well. Shout out to the Ringside Report Network for the merch. Thanks again, Dave. There you go, Angelo. He was a super chat leader one night. We sent him some merch. It finally came in. It took a while. Sorry about the delay,
Super
Angelo,
chat.
but I'm
Super
happy
chat.
you were able to get your merch. Is that new? Did that just happen? No, that was Angelo. Okay, good. There we go. So it's a 1-2 punch. Angelo and Doug are the super chat leaders. And we're good to go, right?
Co-champions.
Are we good to go? Co-champions? We're not going to do another battle. Franco says, here we go again. I don't think there's another battle going on. Is there anything else? Anything else going on? Anything else you want to talk about? I saw a show. I could talk about a show that I saw. It's called Gossip. I don't know if you saw this. It's a 4-part documentary series on Showtime about the New York Post, Page 6, a lot about the columnist Cindy Adams, who's a very famous gossip columnist in the New York Post.
What, like Liz something?
Yeah, Liz Smith. Yeah. She's passed away, but
She was in New York Post. Wasn't
she went. She did. I think she was in New York Daily News for a while, but then went to the Post at a certain point. It's all in the documentary. It's a 4-part series. I highly recommend it. I think it's fantastic.
Do they talk about? Rupert Murdoch.
Oh yeah, a lot of Rupert Murdoch.
Roger Ailes. I mean, it wasn't really. He wasn't the
not
Post.
really.
He wasn't the Post.
No, but a lot about Rupert Murdoch and how he bought the New York Post and who he was back when he bought the Post, and then how he had to sell the Post, and then he bought it again later on. It's a very interesting documentary about American news, and there's a lot of stuff about Donald Trump in there that's very interesting. About all sorts of different people, and it's really about Cindy Adams, and she's led a very fascinating life. She's like 90 years old, still doing it, and she knows everybody. She knows everybody. When the Shah of Iran was in the United States and people were protesting him, and there was the Ayatollah who had taken over Iran. Cindy was familiar with the Shah. She was like friends with him. Her husband was a comedian, and he was a big comedian, and he was very well known. His first name is escaping.
Was he Adams? His last name was Adams?
Yeah. I got to get the guy's name.
Adams.
So she knew the Shah, and she was able to get the interview with him, and she knew all sorts of people like that. Joey Adams was her husband. He's a very famous comedian.
Vaudeville. Yeah, it looks vaudeville.
Yeah.
Friars Club. Yeah, that kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was a very famous guy, and she was his wife, and she's very famous in her own right. She's best friends with Judge Judy. Oh. Judge Judy was in this documentary, which is always good to see Judge Judy at home. You don't get to see that very often. No. It's pretty good stuff.
Judge Judy.
Angela wants to know, could we have your bro on Wednesday night for Dynamite? I don't know. Can we?
I don't know.
You might not be around on Wednesday.
It's not just that, but
you're busy.
I don't know, like, sit in your chair. I don't know if I could do that. It's a big mantle, to like lead a show,
No. I think he's just saying like this Wednesday you would come in with me to do.
Okay. I thought you meant like
no.
Okay.
No, when
I don't want to guest host because I don't think I can do that.
No one's asking for that.
Okay, good, because I don't want to do that.
All right, good. Well, that's fine.
I mean, like this Wednesday night for Dynamite.
No, when I go on vacation, this whole thing shuts down. That's just how it works.
Okay, good. Potentially.
All right. So possibly Wednesday as a special. This Wednesday we'll have my brother in here with Johnny North, where he is for Dynamite. Possibly we'll talk about it because Angelo requested it. We'll see. Angelo, you are the super chat leader of the night. And I'm pretty sure AJ was serious about going to Orange Julep after the show on Thursday night. We're doing the MMA show Thursday night, 8 p.m. And I think we're going to do like an impromptu party in the parking lot at Orange Julep on Thursday night.
They're open all night, aren't
after
they?
the show. Yeah, they're open till like 3 in the morning. AJ seems pretty confirmed. It was his idea. So I think AJ's going to be there. G-Mac, Glenn McKenzie, seems like he's going to be there as well Thursday night. So I think I'm going to head down there. I know Angelo said that he wanted to go. So I think it's happening. I think it's actually happening on Thursday night.
Weather pending.
If any of the Ringside Report network team wants to come down, say hi to Glenn and AJ and me. We'll be having big orange juleps in the parking lot.
That's an attraction as well.
What?
An orange julep.
Oh, it's
like
delicious.
If you haven't had an orange julep.
Franco wants to know, is it retro cars night? I hope not, because then it'll be packed. I don't want to go if it's packed. I don't want to stand in line for like an hour to get a drink. That's not happening. We'll see. I don't have retro cars either. They're gonna let me in a parking lot. Will be packed. I don't want that. I don't want to go nowhere packed. I like empty places. All right.
That's how it is.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for supporting the Ringside Report Network. We appreciate you guys. Once again, shout out to the members in the chat here. Franco316, Angelo Contagonis, you are the super chat leader. Doug Hepburn, coming in real close there. Doug, thank you, Doug. Shout out to Doug and Nick. Shout out to Brian Firth as well. And everybody else in Ringside Report Network land. Patrick C. Hamilton, shout out to you, my man. Shout out to everybody. Appreciate you. I will be back here Wednesday night after Dynamite, and he might be back here too. Okay? He might be. We'll see. We'll talk about it. Okay? Okay.